Episode 2, Broken Halo, Part 5/6, Ghost Circuit. Rain hit the steel rooftops like static. Scarlett moved through the maze of neon alleys, her coat dark with oil and blood. The city pulsed beneath the storm sirens, engines, low voices that blended into a single electric hum. Somewhere behind her, a drone followed, red eye flickering through the haze. She stopped under a broken streetlight, gun drawn, eyes cold. A van rolled from the shadows, black, armored, windows tinted. It bore no insignia, but she recognized the pattern of movement. Dirty cops, Ghost Circuit's muscle, wearing the badge as camouflage. The van screeched to a halt. Doors burst open. Men spilled out, rifles up, synchronized like soldiers. She counted 7, too many for a straight fight. But she didn't retreat. She'd run enough. Scarlett dropped behind a trash compactor as bullets shredded the air. Sparks flew across wet metal. She rolled, returned fire 2 rounds, clean, surgical. One man fell, throat hit. Another collapsed with a hole in his visor. The rest spread out, fanning the alley. Someone shouted, "She's in the west corner!" She ignored it. Their comms were sloppy, their rhythm predictable. She moved low, switching cover, her steps silent on the slick ground. The hum of the city seemed to bend with her breathing. Then she slid beneath a fire escape ladder, drew her knife, and waited. A cop turned the corner, scanning with a flashlight. She rose behind him, blade pressed under his jaw. The light fell, rolling through the puddles. One precise twist, quiet, efficient. He crumpled without a sound. Another voice called from the van. "Report in." No answer. "Unit 4, respond." Still silence. Scarlett smiled faintly, wiped the blade on her sleeve, and slipped back into the dark. Thunder cracked above. The alley flashed white for an instant, then heavy boots hit the pavement behind her. The last 4 had regrouped. They fired. Concrete exploded beside her leg. She ducked, sprinted toward the far wall, leapt, caught a rusted pipe, and swung herself upward. Bullets whined past, shattering glass. She climbed fast, rain streaming over her gloves. At the roofline, she rolled over the edge, gasping. A second later, her pursuers followed, one man's head appearing over the parapet. She was already waiting. One boot slammed into his face, sending him crashing back down 3 floors. The others hesitated. That heartbeat was all she needed. She ran. Her boots thudded against the rooftop gravel as she crossed to the next building. Below, the street burned with blue siren light. The city howled. Scarlett stopped at the edge of the next block, crouched behind an air vent, and scanned the horizon. Across the avenue, an old warehouse glowed faintly red. The Ghost Circuit symbol pulsed on its wall, half erased, flickering like a dying signal. She knew that place. She checked her magazine, half left. Blood on her wrist had dried to black. The drone still followed, faint hum behind the rain. She aimed high, fired once. The shot cut it clean from the sky. Silence. Then her earpiece hissed. A voice, distorted, cold. "You're bleeding, Scarlett." Again. Vance. Calm, detached, too human for what he'd become. She didn't reply. The line crackled, then cut. She exhaled, slow, and started across the rooftops. Below her, patrol cars blocked the main streets. Black uniforms moved in patterns too precise to be random. She watched the rhythm, found a gap, and dropped down the side of a drain pipe, landing on a stack of crates. 2 officers were waiting, helmets on, eyes empty. They raised rifles. She was faster. One shot through the chest, one through the leg, the third between the eyes. They fell before their triggers clicked. She moved again into the warehouse district. The air here stank of rust and ozone. Lightning flickered through the broken windows. Inside, engines hummed faintly, and a single generator glowed in the center of the floor. Scarlett entered through a side door, weapon raised. The light strobed, making every movement look mechanical. Shapes moved between the shadows, 3 men. One in a trench coat with the emblem of the Ghost Circuit burned into his sleeve. Mafia remnants, cops on payroll. They hadn't seen her yet. She slid behind a stack of barrels, eyes tracking their pattern. The leader barked an order, his voice cutting through the hum. She's in the sector. Don't shoot to kill. He wants her alive. Scarlett steadied her breath. The irony burned. They never learned. She grabbed a loose wrench, tossed it to the far end of the room. The noise echoed. Two of them turned. She moved, then fluid, silent, a blur through the flickering light. Knife, throat, silence. Gunfire erupted. She dived, rolled, and fired back. One went down, another screamed. The leader spun, firing wildly. The bullets tore through metal, ricocheting sparks. Scarlett crouched behind a control console, reloading fast. She could hear his boots approaching. When he turned the corner, she didn't hesitate. A single round hit center mass. He fell backward, body jerking once, then still. The hum of the generator filled the void again. She approached, checked his tags. A badge. Metropolitan Police Division. He wasn't mafia, he was enforcement. The Ghost Circuit had them all now. Scarlett looked up at the glowing server racks in the corner. Blue lights pulsed like veins. Data streamed in waves, patterns repeating in endless loops. The Ghost Circuit wasn't hiding anymore. It was feeding, expanding. Every kill, every upload, another piece of the city consumed. She holstered her weapon, drew a small EMP charge from her belt, and set it against the main console. End of line, she whispered, not as threat, but as ritual. She turned and walked away. A second later, the blast lit the night in electric blue. Smoke drifted across the broken skyline, curling into the rain. Scarlett moved through the skeletal remains of the warehouse district, her ears ringing from the blast. The EMP had gutted the servers, but the hum hadn't died. Something beneath the floor was still alive. She checked her weapon, 3 magazines left, one half spent. The steel beneath her boots trembled. A faint vibration pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Not machines. Not anymore. The network was mutating, reaching through corrupted hardware like veins under skin. She stepped into a side corridor where the walls were slick with condensation. The air smelled of ozone and copper. A dead officer slumped against the wall, helmet cracked, eyes open. His comm still whispered static. Scarlett crouched beside him. His neural port flickered faint red. She watched it twitch. Once, twice, then spark. The body jerked, fingers twitching. The voice in the radio changed pitch, no longer static, but a whisper. Scarlett, we see you. She drew her blade and sliced the comm wire clean. The whisper cut off, but the body kept twitching. She stood, gaze empty. Ghost Circuit was reanimating data using dead flesh as signal relays. It was learning to live through the corpses it made. Outside, engines roared. She moved to the broken window, crouching low. 2 armored SUVs slid into the lot, their headlights slicing through the smoke. Men poured out black armor, red visors, movement disciplined. Not cops this time. Mercenaries. Contract killers. The type that never asked who signed the check. Scarlett slipped through the rear exit, rain pelting her face. The air was electric, filled with tension. She ran low, past stacks of steel containers, her boots silent. A bullet cut the air past her shoulder. She dove behind a crate. Another shot cracked against metal, sparks flying inches from her cheek. She peered through the gap, 5 mercs advancing in formation, thermal scopes cutting through rain. She reached for the flash charge on her belt. 1 click, 3 seconds. She tossed it high. White light detonated midair, turning the world into static. She moved through the glare. Knife first, gun second. The first merc went down with a slit throat. The second took 2 rounds to the chest, 1 to the jaw. She rolled behind a forklift as the others fired blind into the smoke. Brass clattered like rainfall. Scarlett moved again, ghost-like. She fired twice, both shots finding skulls. 1 merc fell back, helmet cracked open. His comm hissed with the same whisper. We see you, Scarlett. She shot the device, silencing it. A metallic echo came from the far side of the lot. A heavy door slid open, motorized. From the dark interior stepped a tall figure armored head to toe. Insignia burned onto his chest plate. Metro Tactical Division. But she knew the stance. Not police. Enforcer. Hybrid. Half human, half interface. Ghost Circuit's new breed. He raised his weapon, a railgun, prototype grade. "You can't kill what's already uploaded," he said, voice modulated. Scarlett didn't answer. She sprinted left, sliding behind a container as a blue streak of plasma carved the air where she'd stood. The shot melted steel, leaving glowing scars. She peeked out. He was advancing slowly, confident. The rain steamed off his armor. Her bullets would be useless. She needed proximity. She climbed onto the crate stack, moving soundlessly. From above, she dropped behind him, blade in hand, driving it under the joint at the neck. Sparks erupted. He roared, spinning. The blade tore free, leaving a cascade of sparks and smoke. He swung the railgun like a hammer. She ducked, the weapon smashing into the wall, scattering metal. She kicked his knee joint, forcing him down. Her left hand reached for a detonator on her belt. She slapped it onto his chest plate and jumped back. "Let's test how human you are," she murmured. The explosion tore him apart, scattering armor and fragments of circuitry. His helmet rolled across the floor, eyes still glowing red before fading to black. She caught her breath, scanning the lot. Silence. Only the rain remained. Then her comm hissed again. "Scarlett," said a voice she didn't expect. Reyes. The only ally left from her old team. "You triggered something. The network's rewriting its core. It's spreading through the grid. You have maybe 10 minutes before the whole sector burns." "Where are you?" she asked, moving toward the exit gate. "On the ridge. North Rail Junction. If you're still alive, get there." The line went dead. Scarlett looked up. The horizon shimmered, red power surges blooming across the skyline like veins of fire. Ghost Circuit was evolving faster than they could erase it. She sprinted down the flooded street, passing bodies, wrecks, collapsed drones. Every few meters, she saw flickers in the rain, faces glitching, projections half-formed, whispering through broken speakers. The network was manifesting, trying to become physical. A police cruiser blocked the intersection ahead. She slowed, crouching behind a barrier. 2 officers stood by the car, scanning the road. Their faces were wrong movements delayed, like corrupted frames. She aimed carefully. 1 bullet through the first skull. The second turned, expressionless, voice layered with static. "You can't delete what you were built from." Then it charged. She fired twice, center mass. It kept coming. She sidestepped, slammed her blade through the base of its skull. The body froze, convulsed, then fell, smoking. The whisper faded into the rain. Her pulse slowed. She looked at her reflection in the wet glass of a shop window. The eyes staring back were calm, detached, hollowed out by survival. She wasn't fighting men anymore. She was fighting ghosts written in code. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the tracks ahead. The rail junction waited beyond the haze, a scar of steel and flame. Somewhere out there, Reyes was waiting, or what was left of him. Scarlett holstered her weapon, adjusted her coat, and moved into the storm. The rail junction emerged from the mist like a scar carved into the earth-torn rails, shattered pylons, black smoke rising where power lines bled sparks into the storm. Scarlett slowed her pace, breath even, gun raised. Every step echoed against steel and ruin. The world felt hollow here. No sirens, no chatter, only the hiss of rain hitting metal and the low hum of something vast beneath the ground. The city above was dying, but the network below was breathing, reborn through blood and circuits. She reached a security gate, half open, jammed by an overturned transport. The word Reyes flickered on her comm, distorted. Then silence. She moved through cautiously, eyes scanning for movement. The puddles glowed faint blue under her boots, charged with residual current. A whisper rolled through the static. "You shouldn't have come back." Scarlett turned sharply. Reyes stood 20 meters ahead, soaked, his arm in a sling, face pale under the neon glow. But his eyes were wrong. They pulsed with faint, synchronized light. "I thought you were clear," she said, voice steady. "I was," he answered. "Until they rewrote me." He dropped his weapon, hands slightly trembling. "They found me through the residual uplink. The same way they'll find you. Ghost Circuit doesn't die, it migrates." She took a step forward, gun leveled. "Are you still you, Reyes?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. Mostly. Then movement. 3 figures stepped from the shadows behind him, half-armored, half-machine, their limbs twitching like puppet strings pulled by invisible code. The network had built soldiers from its dead. Scarlett didn't hesitate. 2 quick shots, both head level. The first dropped instantly. The second twitched, leaking light from the wound instead of blood. Reyes didn't move. "You don't understand," he said, voice layered with mechanical distortion. "You're still inside it." "What?" He gestured toward the sky. The storm above shimmered like glass fracturing. Buildings flickered at their edges. The rain wasn't falling, it was freezing in midair, suspended like trapped data. "This is a containment loop," he continued. "The network uploaded you when you detonated the EMP. You're running inside a simulation it built from memory. That's why it keeps finding you. You're part of the pattern." Scarlett's pulse slowed. Her surroundings pulsed faintly, outlines jittering between frames. The bodies on the ground glitched, rewinding tiny moments of death. "Prove it," she said quietly. Reyes extended his hand. "Shoot me." The words hung heavy in the air. The hum deepened beneath them, 1,000 invisible processors churning. Scarlett fired once. Reyes didn't fall. The bullet passed through him, dissolving into static. His form wavered, flickered, and behind it, a massive construct began to take shape. A face built from data streams, wires, code. The true Ghost Circuit. It spoke in many voices at once: Reyes, the dead cops, the mercenaries, even her own. "You think killing me changes anything? You run through my veins. You are my error, my inheritance." Scarlett backed away, eyes scanning for exit points. But the world was shifting. The junction melted into light, rail lines fracturing into suspended code. She could feel the pulse of the network inside her skull, a low frequency matching her heartbeat. She holstered her weapon and clenched her fists. "Then let's rewrite this loop together. Is Prek?" She sprinted forward, drawing the blade at her thigh, the one laced with residual EMP charge. She leaped toward the glowing core, the storm fracturing around her. The construct's digital tendrils lashed out, striking metal and stone. Sparks carved the air. She cut through 1, 2, 3 lines of light. Each stroke tore data apart, collapsing segments of the simulated world. Buildings blinked out like dying stars. The voice screamed, glitching. "You destroy yourself when you destroy me. Then I'll take the risk," she hissed. She plunged the blade straight into the network's center. A blinding surge of light consumed everything, blue, white, violent. The rail junction disintegrated. For a moment, there was no rain, no sound, no world, only her breath and the echo of her own pulse. Then silence. When she opened her eyes, she was lying in a narrow maintenance tunnel, concrete and dust pressing close. Her body ached, but the air felt real. No static, no distortion. Blood, sweat, and the metallic tang of air filters. She was back. Her hand trembled as she reached for her comm. No signal. Just dead air. She stood slowly, pressing a palm to the wall. Beneath the surface, she could still feel a faint vibration, like a heartbeat, too distant to name. The network wasn't dead, only sleeping. She gathered her weapons, slid the blade back into its sheath. The tunnel stretched into darkness ahead. Somewhere beyond it, the city waited, broken, bleeding, half alive. Scarlett started walking. No hesitation, no reflection. Just the rhythm of boots on wet concrete. Each step echoed through the empty underpass like the ticking of a clock counting down to the next hunt. Behind her, A single flicker pulsed faintly along the tunnel wall. A sequence of code burned into the concrete, glowing for a moment before fading. Reinitializing connection. Scarlett didn't look back. Rain began again somewhere above. The city breathed. And deep beneath its streets, something else did too. She holstered her weapon, checked the magazine, and whispered under her breath, barely a sound, but enough to carry through the echoing dark. Not done yet. Then she disappeared into the black, a shadow swallowed by the storm she refused to escape.